Hi, this is Shimelle, and I just wanted to show you the process I went through to make the layout this week for the Scrap Factor Sketch Challenge over on UKScrappers. I'll walk you through how I made this layout, and you can make a layout using this sketch with any process that you like. It doesn't have to look anything like mine, and upload it anytime before Sunday night for a chance to win a prize from UKScrappers, or you can just have a look to see this layout. Thanks for watching! Here are the basics that I'm starting with. All the pages in this album, I'm trying to use either this craft or a dark brown cardstock, or possibly both, just so that because I'm mixing all the other pattern papers and the embellishments, the cardstock will bring all the layouts together and make them feel like they're supposed to go together in the same book. So that's nice and easy. I don't have to think about that too much. I know these two colors of cardstock are going to be where I start. And I have one photo to fit the sketch. And then I've chosen this one pattern paper that's going to be used in a big piece, not the whole sheet, but about 4" by 12, and that's this floral from crepe paper. Then I have lots of other little bits that I've pulled to go with it. I've been using this camera paper from Studio Calico, but I only ordered one sheet of it and then they discontinued it. So I've been trying to stretch it as far as I can, and I started by using it in strips, and now I've started using it just one camera at a time. So almost all of the layouts I've been doing for this album, I pull this paper just in case there's a good place to put a camera on it. I've got some other bits that I've been using, so these are just partial sheets. A nice ledger from Cosmo Cricket, some matte pieces from October Afternoon, a brown wood grain from American Crafts Campy Trails collection, and there's a brown polka dot or an orange floral from October Afternoon. I'm going to start with these letter stickers because the two sizes are both on the same sheet, and that's from Webster's Pages Storytellers collection. I'll probably add some thickers in there too because I normally do, but I pulled out this sheet to start with so I'd have both sizes. These wooden butterflies are something else that's not appearing on every page in the album, but now and then. And I've just got these rub-ons which I haven't opened yet. They fit the butterflies, so I may use them plain, I may use the rub-ons, I may use a little bit of both. So those are both from Studio Calico. And this set of brads, which are starting to be about halfway used now, I guess, from the Stella and Rose collection by My Mind's Eye. And several of them had map themes and compasses and things like that, so those would be the ones that I've already used, but I'm going to try and use up the rest of these in the next several layouts as well. Then because the sketch deals with circles, there's two rows of circles along one side and then a grouping of circle accents on the other side. I've pulled out a few other things to help with that. I'm going to be cutting this dark brown cardstock with two sets of dies, the small circles and the small pinked circles. These are both from Spellbinders, the Nestability sets. So you get all the different sizes, and I like that these two, they fit together. So if you want to have a circle and then the pinked frame, you just have to match up the two sets. And then I possibly will use some scallop circle punches as well. They do a scallop circle that matches these, but because I have so many punches, I haven't bought the die cut as well. So those two can go in the, I use a Big Shot die cutter, but you can use them with any die cutting system that you've got pretty much. And then I've also just pulled out my bowl of flowers, which has felt and fabric flowers and paper flowers. They're all just mixed in together, so I'm thinking that they will appear on some of those circles. And I'll probably pull a little bit here and there as I go, but I just wanted to show you what I was starting with out on my table. So to follow the sketch, the first thing I'm going to do is cut the large block of pattern paper. And to do that, I'm just going to line it up and mark the spot where I want to cut it, and then take it over to the paper trimmer. To cut that piece, and you'll notice on pretty much all of my pieces, I add just a little bit of brown ink around the edges to make everything nice and finished. So this is just brown distress ink. And then I'll go ahead and stick the pattern paper down. So there's just a little bit of border on those three sides there. Okay, so the photo is going to go right about here, and then to follow the sketch, there's going to be a row of two rows of circles here and 3 circles over here. And I've cut these with 2 different sizes of the pink circle from the dark brown cardstock. And I'm just going to place them down so I can get an idea of where they're going to go. I think I want them a little bit closer together than that. And I like when pieces come up off the edge of the page like this. It makes things feel like they're meant to be there, whereas if you start it from here, I don't think it has the same flow. So I like to place one off the edge, and I'll just trim off the extra. And when it comes to adhering these, I will pay a bit more attention and get them in just the right place. But for now, I just kind of want to see how much space I have to work with. So there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of those. And then these 3 pieces that will fit over here. I'll bring this up a little bit so that I'll have room for a title underneath the photo. Now, what I'm going to do with these circles is you could just leave them plain. You could cut circles from this pattern paper and pop them on top of the pink circle. What I'm going to do is each one of these circles is going to be a little bit different. So I'm just going to cut different papers and layer different things on it until I can finish each one just so it's ever so slightly different than the last one. So I've cut several pieces of pattern paper using the 2 smaller plain circles so that they will fit inside the pinked circle. And I'm just going to add ink to all these circles as well. The cutting and inking of all the different circles is probably the most time-consuming part of this layout, just because there's lots of lining up all the little bits of paper to get them all cut to the same size. To make each of these circles different, what I do is then just go through my stash, rifle through die cuts and pieces of chipboard and flowers, just trying to find things that are about the right size. I'm looking for any of the colors that are in there, so there's quite a few different shades of red and pink and yellow and green and aqua and brown. And also then just anything that's going to be the right size to fit inside a circle, layer on a circle, and I just start putting pieces down to see what would fit together. And usually just looking through I can find a few things that will work. Like I had a little paper flower that's cut from ledger paper, then found that I had a tulle flower that's the same color as this map, so those seem to go together, and then had a brad that I'd already pulled out that's the same color with a flower on top, and so all 3 of those just sit together quite easily. So that's kind of what my process is as I go through, and I keep all my supplies by type. So I have all my chipboard in a big bowl, and I just sort through and pull things out for the chipboard, and then I go to the die cut bowl and I cut anything that might fit, or pull out anything that I could use or adjust until it makes sense. Like this airplane came from a larger piece that was too big to include here, but I liked the idea of putting the plane on it, so I just punched out the middle of the die cut. And I'm going to mix that with another few little pieces. So at this point, and the accents aren't stuck down, I just start laying them all out on the page so I can get an idea of all the different pieces that I want to include, and then I'll start sticking each one individually. My next step on a few of these is to add some word strips. Like this one already has a word strip on the epoxy, and it's not really the appropriate word for the layout. I just liked the size and the color, so I'm going to cover up that word and put in something different. So when I use word stickers, I use a lot of the 7 Gypsies, what do they call it, 97% complete collection, where you get lots of these word strips across the middle. I use a lot of those, and I also like these word stickers that come in the booklet from Girls Papery. The booklet looks like that, and you get several different types of sticker sheets in the book. So you get an alphabet and journaling and another alphabet and then you get these, and then some of them have borders and frames, all sorts of different things. So there's quite a lot in there, but several of them have these sheets where there's lots of different words, and so I just go through different word stickers and try and find a few things that will match up. So I can add something here so that it will cover up that one. And if you noticed last week's sketch, if you read my blog, you may have noticed that I'm using a motif that repeats just now and then throughout this album, and it's a butterfly in a scallop circle, then with a word strip underneath. But normally I use the Martha Stewart butterfly punch, so that they're all the same size. So I'm going to try and do that with this one, and because it's a different size scallop or pink and a different sized butterfly. So I'm going to look for perhaps something a little bit larger to put underneath and see if I can make that work in a different size. But at the moment I'm just going through to find words that would match that I can add here and there. Can also pick out words that are dates. So this includes a month, and because these aren't stuck, I'm just going to place it there. I'm not going to stick it yet, so I'm treating it like a die cut a little bit. So with everything popped into place on the embellishments, and I've got them spread out the way I want to on this side, then I'm going to go ahead and adhere the photo and the embellishments over to the side. And I just want this to come a little bit off the edge of that pattern paper. And these will just ever so slightly overlap there. And then I have these 3 circles. I decided instead of putting them straight on the flowered background, I'd add this little die cut. It's an older Making Memories die cut that was just still in my die cut bowl, as it were. And I'm just going to add this over a part of the photo where there's nothing much important there. It's just a bit of out of focus grass. I think we can live without that. And then I have these 3 pieces. What I want to do is line up this sticker with the bottom, so I'm going to place that one first. So that this allows just the tiniest little bit of the die cut underneath, and this is coming almost to the edge of the cardstock. And with that one in place, then it's easier to figure out where the others should go. And I'm going to go in a little triangle. So I'm going to adhere those just like that. For the placement of the circles on this side, I want to be sure that I keep them in a nice straight line and get the spacing right. Now, if you like to scrapbook with a ruler, you can spend some time doing it that way. What I tend to do is just take something in your stash that you have out that has a straight edge to it. And if you place one thing in the right spot, then you can use the straight edge to line everything else up. So I've adhered this one at the top. I can get that nice and even, and then I just have the straight edge to line up with. And then I just watch the spacing in between and eyeball which one's gonna, where it'll go. I'm gonna add the title here, and I did go ahead and pull out some thickers, so I'm gonna mix these brown wood grain thickers with the turquoise smaller alphabet from Webster's Pages. And I'm just going to write out the larger font first. And what I like to do is look for a spot where there's an edge of paper, and that's where I'll start. I don't like for the edge of the paper to be in the gap of the letter, if that makes sense. So I'll just start the C there. And with these particular pictures, I've been working on different pages with these photos from the temples in Cambodia, and I have to admit they are some of the hardest ones to title the pages. This layout is actually going to go at the beginning of a section of the album, like to the kind of transitioning from one country or one destination to the next. So I'm just going to title it with the place, which makes it a little bit easier. And on some of the other pages I've found some various quotes and things like that, but I don't know, they're a bit too somber for something that's kind of a cheesy title, and I do tend to use cheesy titles, so using the place is a little bit easier. A little bit of a cheat, I suppose, but a little bit easier. Be a dot for that eye somewhere here. There we go. And then I'll fit the smaller letters in. And with those, I'm going to spell backwards because I'm hoping I can fit what I want to spell here. I tend to, when I'm laying down letter stickers, I don't really press them down until I have the whole title down. So that gives me a little bit of emergency room, if possible, if I need to move things around. Yeah, because this, what I wanted to spell, isn't going to fit in there, I don't think. We'll see. No, it's definitely not. Okay, so obviously these aren't all going to quite fit, so just place them, and then I'll have a little bit of a move around and see if I can get them to pop into a good place. Okay, so this was a better placement. I could fit the second word here between the B and the D, and then I can move this over, and then I don't have this space. So I've just picked up all the stickers and moved them over because I hadn't pressed them down. Go ahead and flatten these out and add the dot for my eye. And I'm going to add in a couple lines here for journaling, but I will just write those straight onto the pattern paper with brown ink, with a brown pen. So I'm going to leave that for just a moment. If the lines are here on the sketch for the journaling, if you wanted to have more room, obviously there's more space up here. Since I'm kind of using this as a divider or a title page, I don't have lots and lots of writing to put on this, just a few little thoughts and details, so it'll fit down here. And then I'm just going to look at the embellishment to kind of find the pieces that will help bring this together. When I do work with circles like this, it does sometimes end up that they're too separate, and you need some things to kind of let them flow together a little bit. I do like that the camera is a different shape than all these things that are circle and flower shape, because it goes across the circle and breaks that and makes it a little bit of a different shape than you would expect. So I do want to just add a little bit more to help that out, and I'm going to use some rickrack. I do think that this particular piece is a little bit plain, so I think That may be just a little bit too much, but I'm going to add some rickrack here. And then I want a little bit of that to match on the other side as well. So I think it's too heavy to come up here. I think it needs to go down here, just a little bit of that. So I'll add that in on that side. And so that's how I would finish this off. I'll trim this edge up here. And then I'll look for places where a little bit of ink might work. I think I'll add some little sprinkles of ink around the edges and a darker edge on the craft cardstock. Pop these into place and add the journaling. And that should be everything pretty much finished.